Hello and welcome to my presentation of Warframe, a free-to-play third-person co-op shooter made by Digital Extremes. Now what that means is a game that you can play for free and play along with your friends. Warframe is available for the PC and PS4 and soon it will be available for the Xbox One. The premise to the game is that you are a sort of space ninja that is fighting an evil empire that has taken over the solar system. And what you are looking at right now is my arsenal screen, a screen where you basically choose what weapons and what warframe you get to choose, or what you get to use for your mission. Right here, this guy that's looking at you holding the gun is my warframe, and he's called Excalibur. Excalibur is one of the starting warframes that you can have in the game, and he is armed with a 3-round burst rifle, a set of throwing knives, and he's got a pair of swords on his back. This is all equipment that you can get early on within the game, and free-to-play games are known for having all this stuff that you may want to have, but usually they want you to fork up some cash to be able to get them. Warframe isn't any different, but at least Warframe has some sensibility to it to where you can actually get this starting equipment without having to spend a single dime. It may take a little bit of time, but it's at least reasonable amount of time, and as you're playing the game, you're getting stuff that lets you have all these items. So, let's get started on the game. This game has received constant updates to it, and one of the newer updates is a complete change to the interface. It used to be that you would just look through menus and clicking through a set of just icons, but now it's a spaceship. I'm literally walking around within a spaceship, accessing what you saw earlier was my arsenal screen or my inventory, and here would be my mission screen, where I get to choose from any one of the planets of the solar system and do my missions there. And we will be starting with Uranus. I'll let that sink in for a moment. And helping me with this mission is a friend of mine named Kemeris, where we will be doing a sabotage mission on Uranus. The mission has started now. And usually the way these games starts is that there's a timer, so you've got like a few seconds to get your equipment ready, any sort of last minute changes you want to do. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm starting in the Warframe Excalibur, and my friend here is in the Warframe Ember, a Warframe that you can get later on within the game through acquiring some resources and building some blueprints. It takes an estimated about 4 days to actually get all that done once you have all the materials ready. And that's part of the game's trick, is that you could spend money to get that Warframe instantly, or once you have all the materials, just wait a few days to get what you want and not spend any money. So my Warframe's whole ability is all about bladed combat and sort of special abilities that involve me slicing through a row of enemies, whereas Ember's abilities are to set people on fire or things on fire. But without further delay, let's get to the mission. Lots of box smashing in this game. We'll try to actually tackle the beginning of the mission stealthy, but usually the way we work is it gets loud shortly after that. I've got my throwing knives ready for any stealthy takedowns, or what we'll try to do is actually sneak up behind the enemy and stab them in the back. It's actually pretty cool to see that happen if done successfully. Now, the game doesn't have a full stealth system in play, but the game is constantly evolving to where stealth options are available. Alright, Cameras is sneaking up behind this guy, and he's going to do the takedown. Very nice. Shots are fired, but they haven't raised the alarm yet. I'll take them out. Alright, we're still good. Camera's just wiped out the rest of the enemies in this room. No alarm has gone off yet, but I think we made ourselves a high enough profile regardless. We'll see if the music calms down. That's our visual, that's our audio cue. Well, let's just forego stealth. Or not. No, it's actually quieted down. Nah, I keep saying that. Alright. Enough of that. Let's just play. And there goes the alarm. Which, having the alarm go off in this game isn't like a mission breaker. It's not. It's just a small element. All that happens is that now there's waves of enemies that are on the offensive on us, as well as some more intense enemies, like a person who can deploy a force field around them. Camarus just activated Ember's ultimate ability, which is called World on Fire. All he has to do is just walk around and any enemies nearby are incinerated. Alright, here's the mission objective. We just have to destroy that. That's the first one. On to the next. Let me show off my ability here. My ultimate ability is that I deploy a launch of javelins from my body, and it pales targets into the walls. Case in point right there. That would be one of Ember's other abilities, where she can set an area once again on fire, but any enemies that are within that are constantly burning. It's great for defensive missions where you can set up a choke point, and they'll just melt. Now, I may have mentioned that this is a game where you're a space ninja, and so far I've been doing a lot of shooting combat, but there are a lot of maneuvers I can do in the game, such as rolls, backflips. No. Great, now I can't do it today. There we go. Can do a bunch of backflips, cartwheels, and wall running. And you'll have to actually use these maneuvers to get around some of the obstacles in the playing field. Oh, I'm going to do a stealth takedown. Done. Now, one of the things with this game, they had a massive update to melee combat not too long ago, to where it used to be before I would just have my guns and then just do strikes with my weapons, like so. But now I can basically draw out the weapons, and I can block projectiles with them, and do special combos. Additionally, you can do an ability called Channeling, which charges your melee strikes while consuming a little bit of your energy. Energy is used for your Warframe's abilities, like the one where I launch javelins from my body. Other abilities Excalibur has... Well, let's get to this objective first. Yeah, other abilities Excalibur would have would that he slashes into a straight line, and any enemies he passes through are, well, sliced in half. There's also a bit of hacking that needs to be done in the game to unlock doors or silence alarms. Currently, I just killed off the alarm.
Successfully hacked. The location is returning to normal security levels.
Gonna have Kimber's take point and see if he can show off some of Ember's other abilities. We'll just keep heading towards the exit, though. We'll find enemies along the way. Now, how I mentioned about you got to use some of those maneuvers to help you get across the field. Camera's just wall run across that gap. Let's see if I can do the same thing. Hiya! Yeah. Now, if I said it already, this is all equipment that you can get reasonably early on in the start of playing Warframe. We can hear the enemy below us. Alright. Show off that ember, Cameras. Now, one thing I'll just point out here that's kind of fun that you can do with your Warframes is that there is a bit of some customizing the looks to your Warframes. For example, with me, I'm actually not using the original helmet Excalibur has. I'm using a slightly different one, where like the horn on it is longer. And then also on my swords here, I've got like these cool little I don't even know what they're called, but they're like these chains at the end of the end of the hilt. And then Kemeris is having like a sort of purple flame emanating from Ember, but you could like make that green fire or red or orange, whatever color you want. I've even seen a few guys give like black if they wanted. If it's available on the color palette, it's there for you to use. Never gets old. And we're right at the end of the objective. I've only really shown 2 of Excalibur's abilities, but he's got a useful second one where I can flash the area and enemies are stunned. And not one I use a whole lot, but some creative players might be able to use it. But he's got a super jump.
Another job well executed.
Here would be the Foundry screen. This is basically the screen where you can craft items such as all the different weapons. Just pretty much this is where you can craft anything in the game. Currently, you're just looking at Warframe or Warframe parts, and after you beat a mission, you acquire resources to build these items, and each of the different planets of the solar system provide a different type of resource. And that's kind of how this game works, is that you play through these different planets, and you do it a lot too. I mean, this is a grind game where you will be playing through the same planets over and over again to acquire more and more resources to get these items that you want. And that's just kind of the nature of how most free-to-play games are. But as I mentioned once again earlier, this game's a little more sensible about it, and that you acquire these items at a decent rate. It's just that once you actually build the item, it takes literal time for you to build. I'll just build something real quick to demonstrate. Alright, Field Run. This is a resource that I use to build more items in the future. And in this case, it'll take me, I consume those items, and now it'll take me about 12 hours to build. That's just how it goes. but again, it beats having to actually spend money. Now, here we're going to be doing a mission that ups the ante. We'll be going to an endgame area called the Void. And with that, I brought in my favorite Warframe, Rhino, who is also a actually rather special version of Rhino called Rhino Prime. Rhino's whole thing is being able to take a hit. Rhino is a very hard person to kill. Now, playing in the Void here, this is where you can get special items called Prime items, which in my case, my Rhino, or my Rhino, it sounds weird to say, my Warframe is a Prime version of the original Warframe. He's a little more powerful, and there's a lot of other weapons that are like that too. Like there's a Prime version of the bow and arrow weapon. Which, like I said, I mean, the original bow and arrow was powerful enough, and this and the newer one, or not the newer one, but the Prime version of it does significantly more damage. I'm not, however, displaying it because I actually don't have said bow and arrow, but I've got a couple of good weapons of my own. Like I've got the Galentine, which is a huge sword, and one of my favorite guns of the game is the Soma, which is essentially a machine gun. Just straight up a big machine gun. 100-round clip, cuts through multiple enemies. Love it. And this is a pretty simple mission that we're doing. It's called an exterminate mission. We're just going around killing everyone. Or in this mission's case, 116 enemies total. I just activated my Iron Skin ability, and it's basically an additional shield. Now you also see these strange things floating above our heads. These are sentinels. They're kind of our companions. I didn't have them in the I didn't show them off in the previous mission, but sentinels are pretty handy. My sentinel is called the carrier, which allows me to pick up items nearby. And essentially also the sentinel doesn't get in my way. It doesn't take kills from me or anything like that. He's just a bit of a helping hand. And I believe Cameras is also using a sentinel as well. Or I mean, not a sentinel, a carrier. Now, this game has had plenty of updates to go along with it, and one of the more recent updates was a melee combat update. It used to be before that I would just swing my sword whenever I hit the melee key, just like what I did a few seconds ago, and here as well. But now I can draw out the weapon. My guns are put away. I'm holding the weapon with both hands. I can block bullets with it, and I do more powerful swings with it. And as I'm gradually attacking enemies, I'm actually building up more damage with it as well, with a combo meter that's down at the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see it when I'm hitting enemies with the melee weapon when I'm in this stance. You see it counting 1, 2. For Rhino, it's good to always update that, or, you know, keep an eye on that Iron Skin ability so you can just keep taking hits. And Kemmer's back there is using Nova. Nova is a Warframe that's all about, kind of like magnetic manipulation, like more like black holes, actually. Nova also has a very, very destructive ultimate ability where, kind of like the character from X-Men, Gambit, she can charge people up, and when we kill them, they make an explosion. And this explosion does hurt people nearby. So imagine when there's a line of enemies and they're all just exploding. It also makes them more susceptible to damage, too. My ability's a little more basic. I just stomp the ground and everybody just flies away from me. It keeps them also floating in the air for a couple of seconds, too, to allow for follow-up hits. Also, as a fun thing, is I have a special sidearm, a secondary weapon called Typhus, which is kind of like a biological needle gun. And Typhus you can only get by researching it. No way you can buy it. You have to use all those resources that I mentioned over at the foundry that I showed you before the mission started. Good shot. I love this machine gun. Even though I say I'm a space ninja, there is something satisfying about having a large magazine weapon and just wrecking into people. And this game, caters to a lot of different playstyles too. You could be like just a heavy gunner. You could have a rocket launcher just blasting away at people. You could go full melee if you want, even though guns are pretty efficient, you can still be a very deadly Warframe by just going all blades all the time. After all, I mentioned that you'll do more damage the more swinging you do. That whole combo meter does eventually dissipate, though. It's only after like a group of enemies. Imagine kind of like a God of War system. Up. Camera's activated a booby trap and got himself hurt for it. Actually, I don't think he activated the booby trap. I think this room might have been rigged regardless. Oh, sure. Teleport out of the area. Yeah. Alright. Well, this is the end of the mission. And that is Warframe. Oh, hey. Rhino Prime Systems. So, something I already got, but case in point, I just got an item to help me build the Warframe I've already got. That's what the Void's like. But that is Warframe. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the game.